financial futures of an entire generation of young people depend on your department. All right. Have you returned one nickel of the millions of dollars that you were paid while this scam was going on?
Well, first of all, this was by 1% of our people.
That's not my question. My question, this is about responsibility. Have you returned one nickel of the millions of dollars that you were paid while this scam was going on?
The board will take care of that.
Have you returned one nickel of the money you earned while this scam was going on?
And the board will do...
I will take that as a no then.
And if confirmed, will you insist upon that equal accountability in any K-12 school or educational program that receives federal funding, whether public charter, or private?
I support accountability.
Equal accountability for all schools that receive federal funding.
I support accountability.
Okay, is that a yes or a no?
I support accountability.
Do you not want to answer my question?
I support accountability.
Okay.
This is unbelievable.
Have you fired a single senior executive? And by that, I don't mean a regional manager or a branch manager. I'm asking about the people who actually led your community banking division or your compliance division.
We've made a change in our regional, to lead our regional bank.
I just said, I'm not asking about regional managers. I'm not asking about branch managers. I'm asking if you have fired senior management, the people who actually led community banking division, who oversaw this fraud, or the compliance division that was in charge of making sure that the bank complied with the law.
Carrie Toll said...
Did you fire
No.
any of those people? No. Okay. How are you going to do that? You said you're committed.
The individuals with whom I work in the department will ensure that federal monies are used properly and appropriately, and I will look forward to working with you.
So you're going to subcontract making sure that what happened with universities that cheat students doesn't happen anymore?
No, I didn't say
You're going to give that to someone else to do? I just want to know what your ideas are for making sure we don't have problems with waste, fraud, and abuse.
I want to make sure we don't have problems with that as well. And if confirmed, I will work diligently to ensure that we are addressing any of those issues.
Do you acknowledge that the employees who engaged in this activity were committing fraud?
You know, I'm not a criminal, officer, and I don't know I'm not a lawyer, and I know the legal term. I know this.
So I've been an advocate of growth, but it surprises me that you don't know this issue. And Mr. Chairman, I think this is a good reason for us to have more questions.
So here's my question. How do you plan to protect taxpayer dollars from waste, fraud, and abuse by colleges that take in millions of dollars in federal student aid?
Senator, if confirmed, I will certainly be very vigilant.
Yeah, I'm asking how. You know, swindlers and crooks are out there doing backflips when they hear an answer like this.
How about the fact that you sold hundreds of millions of that deal after your people knew it was a shitty deal? Does that bother you at all? You sold the customers something?
I don't recall selling hundreds of millions of that deal after that.
All right, let's take a look. Exhibit 166.
I mean, we're talking about events that transpired only a few months ago, but you're referring to a different letter. I'm talking about a letter. You requested a letter from the government saying that the government ordered you to close the deal to acquire Merrill. Wasn't there such a letter?
I don't recall such a letter.
You're under oath, but your answer is you don't recall.
I do not.
Right now, we have proposals in front of us to substantially lower tax breaks for billionaires in this country, while at the same time, low-income kids can't afford to go to college. Do you think that makes sense?
Senator, I think if your question is really around how can we help college and higher education be more affordable for young people as they anticipate.
Actually, that wasn't my question. My question is, should we make public colleges and universities tuition-free so that every family in America, regardless of income, will have the ability to have their kids get a higher education? That was my question.
Senator, I think we can work together, and we could work hard on making sure that college or higher education in some form is affordable for all young people that want to pursue it. And I would look forward to that opportunity.
Come on, Mr. Sparks.
Well, Mr. Chair-
Should Goldman Sachs be trying to sell, and by the way, it sold it, a lot of it after that date. Should Goldman Sachs be trying to sell a shitty deal?
Well,
Can you answer
again, I
that
didn't
one?
use those
Can you
words,
answer
but
that one, yes or no?
there are prices in the market that people want to invest in things. I didn't use that term with respect to this deal.
Okay, let me ask you this. I think all schools that receive taxpayer funding should be equally accountable. Do you agree with me or not?
Well, they don't. They're not today.
But I think they should. Do you agree with me or not?
Well, no, because...
You don't agree with me. Let me move to my next question. Should all K-12 schools receiving governmental funding be required to meet the requirements of the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act?
I think they already are.
Okay, but I'm asking you a should question, whether they are or not. We'll get into that later. Should all schools that receive
If schools,
taxpayer funding be required to meet the requirements of the Individuals with Disabilities in Education?
I think that is a matter that's best left to the states.
Either you did or you didn't. And I don't know why you cannot tell us that information.
So some states might be good to kids with disabilities and other states might not be so good, and then what, people could just move around the country if they don't like how their kids are being treated?
I think that's an issue that's best left to the states.
What about the federal requirement? It's a federal law, the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. Let's limit it to federal funding. If schools receive federal funding, should they be required to follow federal law, whether they're public charter, or private?
As the senator referred to...
Just yes or no. I've only got one more question.
The Florida program, there's many parents that are very happy with the program there.
This is my question.
Let me state this. I think all schools that receive federal funding, public charter, or private, should be required to meet the conditions of the Individuals with Disabilities in Education Act. Do you agree with me or not?
I think that is certainly worth discussion, and I would look forward
So you
to
cannot yet agree with
further
me. And finally, should all K-12 schools receiving governmental funding be required to report the same information regarding instances of harassment, discipline, or bullying if they receive federal funding?
I think that federal funding certainly comes with strings attached.
I think all such schools should be required to report equally information about discipline, harassment, or bullying. Do you agree with me or not?
I would look forward to reviewing that provision.
That's why we want more questions, because we want to know if this person that we are entrusting, or may entrust to be the Secretary of Education, if she has the breadth and depth of knowledge that we would expect from someone who has that important important job. And I was kind of surprised. Well, I'm not that surprised that you did not know this issue.
If it was a court, I would say to the court, let the judge instruct the witness to answer the question. It's not a court. You're not under oath or you're not under a subpoena, but you're trying to win my vote. Thanks, Mr. Chair.
It actually turns out that there are a whole group of rules that are already written and are there, and all you have to do is enforce them. So what I want to know is, will you commit to enforcing these rules to ensure that no career college receives federal funds unless they can prove that they are actually preparing their students for gainful employment and not cheating them?
Senator, I will commit to ensuring that institutions which receive federal funds are actually serving their students well.
And so you will enforce the gainful employment rule to make sure that these career colleges are not cheating students?
We will certainly review that rule.
You'll review it? You will not commit to enforce it?
And see that it is actually achieving what the intentions are.
I don't understand about reviewing it. We talked about this in my office. There are already rules in place to stop waste, fraud, and abuse, and I don't understand how you cannot be sure about enforcing them. If confirmed, you will be the cop on the beat, and if you can't commit to use the tools that are already available to you in the Department of Education, then I don't see how you can be the Secretary of Education.
Boy, that was one shitty deal.